Hello, good morning everybody. It's Andy from CLIA with a very special guest, Caroline.
Hello,
Morning.
hi Andy, how are you?
Sorry we're a couple of moments late. We had some technical challenges in our high-tech studio with our continuing white wall theme behind me. Before we start with Caroline from the Port of Seattle, a couple of reminders. Firstly, on Wednesday at 9:30 we'll be making our first and very special announcement about CLIA Conference 2020. So 9:30 Wednesday next week, which is after Bank Holiday, where I believe the weather's going to be nice, Bank Holiday.
Yes, it is. Apparently, in Seattle next week, it's going to be sunny every day and temperatures of up to 31 degrees. So who says it rains in Seattle?
Exactly. We'll all go. We'll all head off immediately.
That would be lovely.
And in the meantime, if you are looking for some events to while away the time and also immerse yourself in the world of cruising, there are lots of events coming up, including Malta and Amsterdam and our road shows across the UK. But back to more important things. Thank you for coming in.
Thank you.
How long have you worked in travel? Has it been a while?
Oh, just a few years, possibly over 20, let's say, to be polite about it. Yes.
And
definitely.
how long working with the Port of Seattle?
With the Port of Seattle for the last 4 years. And we were promoting Washington State, Seattle, very much as a cruise and stay experience.
Okay, perfect. We should explain a little bit for those who've never been to Seattle, firstly where it is, and I guess what kind of vibe it's got. Vibe is a terrible word, but what kind of feel it's got?
Well, we regard it very much as the entrance point, the gateway to the Pacific Northwest. So it's right up on that northwestern corner of the USA before you enter into Canada and go up into Vancouver. And it's got a very relaxed vibe. It's a high-tech city full of great young businesses, great young business people, and it's right on the seafront. And in addition to that, it's full of lakes, hills, forests. Yeah. It's beautiful, it's unspoiled.
Yeah, and it's quite a small downtown area, so it's walkable, although there's also a monorail.
It's completely walkable. There's a light rail from the airport, which is worth saying. The flying time, people never realise, but it's only 9.5 hours from the UK. Yes,
really?
Yes. And there are direct flights with, what have we got? We've got Norwegian, we've got British Airways, we've got Virgin.
Don't forget anybody.
Aer Lingus, and they're all direct non-stop, and Icelandair is also superb one-stop. So very easy to get there. There's a light rail into town, and then when you get into town, where the light rail arrives, there's also a monorail that goes out to some of the best attractions at a place called the Seattle Centre.
Okay. It's about so time difference. It's quite a lot of time difference because it's West Coast.
Yeah, it's 8 hours.
It's 8 hours.
8 hours behind us.
Weather-wise, it's a summer season for cruising, is it?
It's a summer season. It starts in May and goes through to October. And of course, really, 99.9% of the traffic is probably Alaska bound, rather than anything else. But there are some ships that obviously do call at Seattle that are going along the west coast, and there's also a wonderful small ship cruising product as well. Okay.
And Alaska this year seems to be a really popular region, both for ships but also from the UK for guests.
I think it's just getting more and more popular. We've just gone up to 1.2 million passengers, cruise passengers this year. I mean, this is record beating. Year on year it's growing. We've now got the 3 biggest ships on the west coast sailing out of Seattle to Alaska. Very popular.
So itinerary-wise, and we've gone straight to cruise, we'll come back to the city and to Washington State. And actually I've been lucky enough to visit Seattle on a couple of occasions.
Great.
It's a beautiful city.
Great.
But sailing from Seattle upwards to Alaska, what kind of itinerary is it, and what's the average duration?
Okay, yeah. Well, generally most of the cruise ships take 7 days to go up to Alaska and back. There are a few 10-day itineraries and a few 14-day itineraries.
Okay.
And the majority will stop at Victoria as well. So you'll actually get to experience places like Bouchard Gardens and the beautiful tea shops and things of Victoria. So, and then of course you see the incredible scenery along the coast of Canada and right up to Alaska. It's phenomenal.
It is an amazing destination, Alaska, and it does attract families as well, which some people find surprising. I don't know why.
Yeah, I think so. I think it's one of those bucket list things.
Yeah.
And why wouldn't kids want a bucket list just as much as an adult?
So the city itself, You have back to cruise slightly, so you have two terminals currently.
Yes, we've got two terminals. We've got Pier 66, which is really downtown. It's right by Pike Place Market, so it's in the heart of the city, and that's used by Norwegian and Oceania. And then we've got Pier 91, which is in a downtown kind of area. It's a little bit sort of more of a neighbourhood area.
Okay.
A little bit further north. So you'd probably get a cab from there into the heart of the city if you wanted to be in the middle of town.
And how important is cruise to the city? You mentioned a record season, 1.2 million.
Yeah.
It sounds like it's going to be important to the economy and to the local businesses and so on.
It is. It generates something like £745 million a year, over 5,000 jobs. Gosh. So it's a really key generator. Most of the cruise passengers will spend over £1,000 during their stay in Seattle on food and drink and hotels, and it's absolutely core to the industry too.
Yeah, absolutely. Good stuff. So imagine I'm leaving, and actually before I do that, we should say please send some questions in. Toby here is watching for your comments on Facebook. So if you do have any questions for Caroline, then please send them in. So if you're leaving the ship and you're from the downtown terminal and you go for a wander, is it a walkable city, and what kind of things are you likely to find?
Hugely walkable, and you literally could walk into the Pike Place Market within 3 minutes of getting off the ship. You are then seeing things, extraordinary things, like if somebody goes and buys a fish, and there are fish stalls and flower stalls and boutiques and all sorts. Somebody buys a fish, the fishmonger will actually toss a whole huge salmon up into the air to celebrate the purchase of the fish. I mean, it's just hysterical. They're brilliant. You've got the first ever Starbucks down in the market as well.
And is it still a Starbucks?
It's still a Starbucks. It is very popular.
I'm sure.
And actually does get queues, so you have to get there early in the morning if you want to buy one of their cups with the original logo.
Oh, really?
And the original logo is a mermaid who's a little bit more exposed.
Yes, I've seen.
Than the current logo.
I've seen. Say no more. So that's the market, which is very popular. And then from the market, what kind of things does downtown hold?
So I would personally then actually turn right and I'd go down to Pioneer Square. I love Pioneer Square. That area has got a fantastic underground city tour. So you can go and see where the original buildings were built at their ground floor level in Seattle. So because it was at sea level, it was flooding, and they lifted the city by 12 to 20 feet. But one day, a very clever man, Bill Spiedel, discovered that there was still the same front doors, some old prams, the bank shop fronts, everything was still intact down at that underground level.
Really?
So there's a great underground tour. And you can do a tour. So
Amazing.
that's always good fun. That's great fun. And then there's so much to see. The other thing I would do, I'd walk from Pike Place Market straight up the hill a little way, and I'd probably either go and enjoy some great shopping there, or I'd go and get on the monorail and I'd go out and see the Seattle Center, where you've got Chihuly Garden and Glass, Mopop Museum, lots and lots of fun things to see and do there.
Okay. And the Needle is quite an attraction as well. So
yes, so that's there. So that's via the monorail as well. It's next door to Chihuly Garden and Glass and the Mopop Museum. So the Needle has had a complete facelift. It's all beautiful glass with a sort of no holes, no metalwork barred view of the city, and it rotates. So that's a great place to go and enjoy. And you can go up there and have a drink and a snack. Then you could go to Chihuly Garden and Glass, which is Dale Chihuly's incredible glass works. And in fact, at Kew Gardens at the moment, they have a Chihuly exhibition.
Oh, really?
So anyone who wants to get a taste of what Seattle can offer, go to Kew and then get on a plane and go out to Seattle and see it for real.
And he's a local artist from Seattle.
He is, absolutely, very famous. In fact, the Bellagio in Las Vegas has got some of his installations. His installations are worldwide.
Oh, really? Wow.
He's a phenomenal artist. The garden there is literally full of trees and flowers made of glass. Really? It's the most incredible thing to see. So that's highly recommended. It's right next door to the Space Needle. And then you've got the Museum of Pop Culture. So grunge came out of Seattle.
Yes.
Okay, so very famously. Yeah. And the music scene today is still very hot, very real, very now. The Mopop Museum celebrates that with a very interactive, enormous exhibition space. The actual building is a Jimi Hendrix guitar smashed on its side.
Really?
So when you see it from the top, from the Space Needle, that's the impression you get.
Wow, amazing.
So that's very and the monorail goes straight through it.
And then the view from there is obviously of the downtown, the city area, but there are outlying islands and places that a lot of people live.
Well, one of my favourite things to do in Seattle is to go whale watching. And you'll see seals, and you'll see, I don't know how much other sea life. It's spectacular. So Seattle is built on the Puget Sound. It's right on the seafront that comes off the Pacific Ocean. It's also a city full of lakes and hills and forests and parks. So, you know, within moments, you just feel like you're part of nature, and yet you're in a fun hub kind of cool city. Yeah. So that's what I think is really special. It's very unspoiled.
And my other research into Seattle involved watching Grey's Anatomy quite a lot. And,
yes.
But some of the doctors used to take the ferries across. So there's quite a lot of ferries. So there's quite a lot happening on the water itself.
Huge numbers of ferries. And of course, they famously take the Bainbridge Island ferry. So you can take that from downtown Seattle. Again, it goes out just close to the Pike Place Market and Pier 66. So you could get on the ferry. It's a 35-minute ride. Go across, enjoy an amazing ice cream, have a look at the island, and then come back. The scenery is spectacular on the water. Yeah. Spectacular. And there's lots of other islands. There's 170 odd islands that are on route from Seattle up towards Canada, and they're completely unspoiled. They're called the San Juan Islands. Very, very underdeveloped. 4 or 5 of them are inhabited, and the rest are just these beautiful kind of aquamarine dots in the ocean of forests and spectacular.
So the sail away and the sail back in must be quite...
It's really breathtaking.
And then cost-wise, again, for those people who haven't been to Seattle or to West Coast USA, is it an affordable place to visit for a couple of days?
Yes, it is. I mean, it depends on what you want. So if you want a coffee and a snack, you're in for a few dollars. If you want to go and splash out on a fancy meal in a top restaurant, you can do that too. There are very affordable hotels. There are some great small boutique affordable hotels, kind of the 3-star mark, and they go right up to the Fairmonts and the top end. So there's something for every budget.
And do you find a lot of people do add on those couple of nights pre and post?
Yes, definitely. So normally you would fly in, you'd have one night pre, and then you'd get on the ship the next morning. Okay. But you know, if you're only doing a 7-day Alaska cruise, you're really wasting a great opportunity.
You've got a whole week to spend.
You've got a whole week to spend and enjoy Seattle and Washington State. So we always say to tour operators, to the agents, think about how you can add on more, because we've got some great itineraries on our website for ideas. We can provide you with other materials and ideas. We've got a couple of brochures that are just
Exhibit A and B.
Exhibit A and B that are just kind of fun, a Washington International Guide and a Seattle Cruise and Stay Guide. We've got lots that we can provide people for ideas of things to do, from wine tasting to whale watching to just going and looking at the museums.
So I'm going to test you now on all of those things that you've just mentioned. So no pressure at all. So if you're staying in the city, you will want to spend a couple of days wandering around, getting the feel of the city and stuff. But presumably whale watching can be half a day or a full day?
Yes. That would be half a day or a full day, and you can go out from, again, very close to where the ships come in. So that's quite easy to arrange, and you can book it there and then when you want to do it.
Okay. But then for people who want to spend a little bit longer exploring, Seattle is obviously surrounded by Washington State, which I know is one of the most beautiful places in America. So tell us about Washington State and what's around Seattle.
Okay, so I think the wine tasting is one of the things that you just have to know about Washington State, and very few people realise.
No, indeed.
It's the second biggest producer of wines after California in the USA.
Oh, really? Wow.
And great red wines, great white wines. My favourite's the Riesling, but I know that's a bit sweet.
Yeah,
but
too sweet for me,
I know. But there'll be a lovely Merlot for you might
That would be nice.
Very nice. So there's a couple of options. You've got a 25-minute drive from Seattle to a place called Woodinville.
Okay.
Full of wine tasting, little producers, wine bars, places that you can go and try the wines. Or you can go further afield and you can go to somewhere like Walla Walla. So Walla Walla is down quite a bit southwards towards the Oregon area.
Yep.
And the wines there are spectacular. There's over 900 wineries that you can go and experience in that region.
Really? Wow.
So Tri-Cities, Yakima and Walla Walla. That's a fantastic area to visit. Or if you're into hiking and you're more into the great outdoors and all the kind of things that I love as well, we've got 3 beautiful national parks. They're all mountains, they're unspoilt, they are, the Olympic Peninsula is on the sea, on the Pacific Ocean, with phenomenal Pacific Ocean beaches. Mount Rainier is one of the biggest mountains, and it's ice and fire destination is what I call it, because it's absolutely full. It's got over 120 glaciers and lots of hiking.
Gosh.
Or you can go and do a 400-mile drive around the Cascade Loop, which starts from Seattle and goes north and eastwards, again through completely unspoilt mountains, lakes, beautiful scenery.
And it sounds like it doesn't take long to get out of Seattle before you hit some of this scenery.
Exactly. Well, as I say, 25 minutes and you're in the countryside doing the wine tasting, but you know, a couple of hours gets you pretty much to any of the wilderness areas, national parks.
And the wine areas, the vineyards, are spread out over a concentrated area, or are they?
They're in a concentrated area.
Okay.
So when you do take that sort of southeastern, slightly east-and-south journey, you end up in going past the mountain range that borders with the Pacific Ocean. And that takes you into a hotter, drier climate, which is, of course, perfect for nurturing the vines.
Yeah.
So that area is where you've got the 900 wineries. And again, it would take you can do a short hop flight, or you can hire a car and drive down there, or you can take tours down there. And when you get down there, everything is accessible, and they have some great itineraries that'll take you from one producer to the other.
Well, it's important you try a couple of different wines.
Yeah, and you can do wine blending. You can make your own.
Really?
They have wine blending, and I've done that.
I was going to say, have you done that?
I've done that. Yeah, it was almost drinkable.
Ah.
Almost.
So they obviously grow lots of different grapes. It's not just.
They've got Cabernet Sauvignon Merlot. They've got the Sauvignon Blanc Chardonnays. They really do a broad range, and they're small producers, most of them. A lot of them are small producers, so they really care and nurture the experiences that people have there. It's very. It's not that what's the word? Kind of economically driven. It's very much about the love of the wine.
And for those people who haven't done tours of vineyards and seen wine production, it is fascinating.
Oh, it's amazing.
And the science that goes into it with the right temperature and the right grape at the right time is incredible.
And the right soil and how long they keep it in the barrels and oh God, yes, that you lose me at that point. Totally lose me.
But you can buy them in the UK, some of these wines.
Yes, I can get them in our local pub now, which is nothing to do with me persuading them, I promise.
Sure.
Costco, Waitrose, Marks and Spencer, you can find these wines coming in. They're coming in. They're doing well. You
mentioned beach a short while ago. Are there beaches within reach from Seattle?
There are. So Long Beach actually is south of Seattle, and a very beautiful conservation type of area. A lot of bird watching, and you're right on the Pacific Ocean. Or you go westwards, take the ferry across to Bainbridge Island, maybe hire a car and spend a day or two travelling around the million-acre wilderness that is the Olympic National Park. And there, you've got these incredible Pacific Ocean beaches that, I mean, just to sort of show you a picture, again, that was that kind of scenery.
Wow, beautiful.
It's just spectacular. So yes, I wouldn't sunbathe on that beach.
No.
The sea's a little bit rough, but for scenery, absolutely amazing. If I wanted to sunbathe a bit, I'd probably walk down to Long Beach on a sunny day. Well, I'd drive down and then
drive down, exactly. Yeah, Long Beach sounds amazing.
That's lovely.
Food-wise, it's obviously on the ocean, so I suspect seafood is quite a speciality.
Seafood is a speciality, but they have some really innovative young chefs. Some of their chefs are winning awards all over the USA as some of the best chefs in the country. And they're coming up with incredible ideas and fun little local neighbourhood restaurants. There's one called June Baby, which I think won some huge award last year. I'm going to forget exactly which one. But again, that's like a neighbourhood restaurant. And people just kind of queue out the door to go in from the neighbourhood. Really? Right through to the downtown top end experiences that you can have with their top chefs. So great seafood, great meat, a lot of vegetarian and vegan options because again they are very forward thinking. They're a young, energetic people in the city and
they sound exhausting.
It's kind of got a cool vibe.
So then evening wise for a night out in Seattle, similarly a younger vibe and some fun things to do?
There's if you're into like the bar scene, you go to Queens. There's a lot of amazing bars. There's one called Unicorn, which has got this kind of mystical, crazy theme. There's gay bars, there's straight bars, there's there's bars that are sort of for anybody who's a bit older and a bit more laid back like me and just wants to listen to a bit of music. There's a great music scene in the city as well. There's a lot of places to go and enjoy music. So yeah, there's plenty going on.
A lot of people will want to be, or one of the trends that's happening is that people like to be more active on holiday now. So cycling seems to become quite a trend for a lot of destinations. Seattle's quite hilly though, isn't it, for cycling?
It's a little bit hilly. I believe that they've got e-bike tours now in the city, although I'd want to double check that for anyone who really needs to know for sure. They've got cycling tours for sure. And you can actually, there's whole areas, there's an Olympic Park that you can go and cycle along. And you can actually take a path that goes along the Puget Sound.
Okay.
And again goes sort of out of Seattle into the countryside. So you can stay in the city and cycle, it's very cycle friendly, or you can even travel out a bit further. And lots of hiking as well.
Yeah, well, lots of hiking in Washington State, which is beautiful. You've obviously been to Seattle quite a few times. Do you have a favourite thing to do?
Oh God, that's a really hard one.
Sorry, I know. You can name a couple of things. I won't be offended.
Okay, all right. So I do love the whale watching. I mean, I just, it brings me to tears.
Yeah.
But I have to say, I saw so many whales last time that I actually went down inside for a cup of coffee. And then, I guess I took a break. Really? I'd seen so many whales. I was
Not another whale.
I started off crying when I saw the first one. And after 2 hours, I was like, I need a coffee break. This is enough whales.
So explain that experience, though, because do you get really close to them?
You get pretty close. There are very strict regulations.
Of course.
For conservation purposes, obviously. But they do track them. So the whales they do carry, I don't know, a chip of some sort.
Right.
And so the Clipper Vacations, for example, will actually track where they are. So you're pretty much sure to see them, and they always guarantee that if you didn't for some crazy reason see a whale that one day, that you get a free cruise the next whatever suits you to go back. But no, you see so many whales. It's amazing.
And do they perform for you? They don't perform, obviously. Obviously you're naturally
some
living.
Of them are interested in the boats and some of them aren't. And so we had a bit of an experience where actually the whales were coming to us and we're not meant to be too close. So, you kind of have to back off a bit. And so, the captain would say, well, I'm very sorry, everybody, but we've just got to go a little bit further away from this whale that seems to be very interested in us. So, you get those kind of things that are just fun.
I can't believe you went for a coffee, though. That's
shocking. That's sad. God.
So that's one thing that you love to do. Tell us some more of your favourite things.
Well, the Boeing factory. I'm ex-aviation as opposed to ex-cruise. And I spent a lot of time working for BAA, the airport operator, when it used to be BAA. So seeing the Boeing aircraft being built in the world's biggest factory, it's bigger than any other factory in the world, just north of Seattle at a place called Everett, is absolutely amazing. I've done that 3 times now, and any time I get the opportunity to go back, I'm there. Because it's just
You're
phenomenal.
An aviation geek, though, slightly.
I know, I'm sorry, but it's just, I guess it must be like watching one of the ships being built.
Yes,
I've
exactly.
never done that, I'd love to do that.
Yeah.
It's just incredible how so much is achieved within these enormous hangars and how organised and perfect it is. They cycle around the factory because it's so big, the people that work there. They've got 3-wheeler cycles and they cycle around.
And the scale must be incredible.
You can't even really get your head around it. I can't really remember how many football pitches, but it's a lot of football pitches full of aircraft being built. It's great. Good fun.
Good.
And near there, the other thing is, sorry.
That's right, you're allowed
one
more.
Right close by there, okay, a 3-minute drive from that factory, you can take a ferry across to an island called Whidbey Island.
Whidbey?
Whidbey with a D.
Whidbey, sorry.
Yeah. It is. It's a beautiful small island. It's like where the fairly well-off escape from Seattle if they like to have a country house.
Nice.
It's a 20-minute ferry ride, and there's an amazing hotel or two there. And it's been used for film settings and things. It's got wineries as well, vineyards.
There's a theme.
It's a theme. It's a beautiful escape from the urban life if you want to escape it.
Fantastic.
Fabulous.
Thank you for sharing everything Seattle today.
Thank you.
It is a great city if you've never been. I'm just going to check with Toby. There we go. Mount Rainier, is that a place for skiing? There we go. Great question.
All right. Yes. So there is a ski resort. Mount Rainier has got a ski resort called Crystal Mountain, and they have quite a number of runs. You would definitely happily stay there and enjoy 2 or 3 days skiing without getting bored if you're a skier and you're keen.
Right.
I would say the accommodation is very much geared around the local market.
Okay.
So they love the kind of log cabin feel, and I don't know, you'll get that kind of.
Yep.
So it's not top-end resorts at the place.
But it's an authentic.
It's a proper, real, very popular with the locals. Good skiing, normally good conditions.
But only in the winter, so you can't cruise and ski.
No, sadly not. God, that would be perfect.
No, skiing. I've tried skiing once. I'll never do it again.
But that's a shame.
But it's nice to visit the mountains in the summer, of course, when you can combine it with the cruise.
Actually, the other place, there's another mountain also in Washington State called Mount Baker.
For skiing?
For skiing.
Okay.
And it has a reputation as having the deepest snowfall ever anywhere in the USA on a ski resort.
Really?
And it is amazing. And that's up towards the border with British Columbia.
I feel as if we've drifted away from cruising slightly, but
I don't know how we've done that.
So where can people get more information if they're looking for it?
Okay, well, we have a website which is called seattlecruisealaska.co.uk.
Okay.
We have the brochures that I showed you earlier on, and we can send out stocks to anybody who would find those useful. And online, on our website, we've got a number of itineraries. So if you go to the Plan Your Holiday page, we've got some great sample itineraries to inspire ideas about what to see and do around the state.
Perfect. We'll see you there. We'll see you in the original Starbucks for a hot chocolate or something.
Excellent. Right.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Much.
Thanks everyone for watching, and we'll be back, as I say, on Wednesday at 9:30 for our first announcement for CLIA conference. In the meantime, have a great bank holiday weekend, and we'll see you next week.